Hello there and welcome. This is Mikhail or Michael speaking, and as always I salute to those who decided to support me financially, be it through Patreon, PayPal or Super Thanks. It helps a lot, so thank you and have a good day. Today's video I will start with the situation on the Antonovsky Bridge. Now here is where information differs depending on what kind of sources and on which side of the political spectrum you are located. For example, pro-Ukrainian sources claim that the amount of troops in this area had increased to about 300 to 500 men, but also that this entire portion of this island is under Ukrainian control. In a way, it can be proven by the fact that Russians recently have launched an unsuccessful amphibious attack across Konka River, but were spotted by Ukrainian drones, munitions were dropped on them, and later on that small amphibious assault was repelled by the Ukrainians. As to Russian attacks across this bridge or road, fact of the matter is that Ukrainian side of the Dnipro River, their shore, is higher and steeper than the Russian one. This allows them to visually control this entire bridge, which eases their way of planting distant mines all around this area. And as Russians are advancing, they are forced to take on needed casualties. In an attempt to deal with this problem once and for all, Russians had struck once with Iskander rocket. Here's the video of that. This explosion did collapse part of the bridge, as Russians report crushing about 30 Ukrainian soldiers in the process. Then Ukrainian soldiers were forced to disperse and take refuge in dacha area around this bridge, after which Russians started clearing operation, and according to some resources, this entire area was cleared from the Ukrainian forces. All this information indicates that especially heavy fighting is taking place on this island. There were also reports of Ukrainians starting a small-scale assaults across Konka River in the attempt to establish bridgehead right in front of Oleshki. Some pro-Russian sources claim that the control of this island is unnecessary for the Russians and doesn't hold any strategical value. However, I believe that this island provides a buffer zone between Russian-held Oleshki and Ukrainian positions on the west bank of Dnipro River. We might soon expect Ukrainians assaulting the Oleshki settlement itself. Then from here, let's move to the Zaporizhzhia front. Situation in Orikhiv and near Lapkova is somewhat the same. For example, during the nighttime, Ukrainians are committing into limited attacks from Stepova and Lapkova in the direction of Zheribyanki and in attempt to finally establish control over Pyatikhatki. Most sources except pro-Ukrainian claim that Pyatikhatki is still in the gray zone. Then at daytime, they strike again with a much bigger force. Here near Zheribyanki, all of the Ukrainian attacks were repelled. Situation was the same in Orikhiv. At night, Ukrainians attacked with limited force, and at day, they attacked once again using a stronger force. As a result of that, they were able to penetrate Russian defensive line in this sector. It was about 1 kilometer deep and few kilometers wide. You can see that Ukrainians are slowly but surely advancing towards Russian-held Rabotina. Unsuccessful Ukrainian attacks were also reported from Novodarivka in the direction of Nesteryanka and from Malotokmachka in the direction of Novopokrovka. Here I have a video for you of a Russian artillery working on the advancing Ukrainian troops. Unfortunately, my previous video was targeted by YouTube. Advertisement was limited and the 18+ age restriction was put on it, which greatly decreased its viewership, so I will try to be much careful with today's video. So here you can see Russians bombing Ukrainians as they advance in the Zaporizhzhia front. Then I also have a drone footage that shows a big number of Ukrainian armor being left or destroyed in this overall sector as well. Again, I will not put any music on it because it can be copyrighted any minute. So there you go. Then let's move to the Vremivka tactical bridgehead. For example, to the west of the Vremivka tactical bridgehead, there were small-scale Ukrainian attacks from Gulay-Polye, for example, in the direction of Drozhnyanka. These attacks were unsuccessful. Then, when it comes to the Vremivka tactical bridgehead itself, it would seem that Russians successfully stepped back from the positions they had around Rivnopol and were able to halt Ukrainian attacks here in this sector. Ukrainian attacks from Novodarivka and Livadne were repelled. There were reports that now Ukrainians came very close to the Staromayorsky. They started attacking it from this side as well. And there were attacks towards Urozhaine reported as well. And all across this open field, with all of those attacks being repelled by the Russians as of right now. Then let's move ourselves quickly to the situation in Avdiivka. It has been reported that Ukrainians were heavily reinforcing this sector as well. With that, they were constantly attacking Russian positions in the settlement of Vadyane and Apitne, as well as attacking from Stepove in the direction of Krasnogorovka, from Avdiivka in the direction of settlement of Vadyane and Kamyanka. In the direction of Vadyane and Apitne, Russian forces were able to repel Ukrainian attacks before they were able to get close to the settlements. However, here is where Ukrainians had made their success. Russians held a small bridgehead here in these open fields. As a result of a Ukrainian attack, Russians were forced to step back and now take defense in the Krasnogorivka settlement itself. Then we move to Artyomovsk or Bakhmut. Here situation is developing for the Ukrainians. They were attacking all across the front line to the flanks of Bakhmut and were able to gain some territories. Let's start with the situation near Kurdyumovka. So as a result of a successful Ukrainian attack here across the canal, Ukrainians were able to push Russians back and take control over the forest lines that are located to the other side of the canal. Here is a video of Ukrainian tanks being able to cross over this canal and advance across it, firing upon Russian positions in these forest lines. And as a result of that, they were able to clear this portion of land, forcing Russians to step back and take defense in these forest lines. Then let's move to the Bakhmut itself. Ukrainians were committing into small-scale operations in the direction of Bakhmut, however, those were unsuccessful. Then let's move to the north flank of Bakhmut, and we actually have some Ukrainian developments here. In the last 24 hours, Ukrainians were able to successfully advance from Orehovo-Vasiliivka in the general direction of the E40 highway, and captured Russian positions in front of this small forested area. So you can see Ukrainians are gradually increasing intensity of fighting here in this sector. A few days ago they were able to successfully advance here in the general direction of the Lishняnsky, now from Orehovo-Vasiliivka. And you can see that Russian held Dubovo-Vasiliivka might soon end up in a pocket. There were also reports of unsuccessful Ukrainian assaults in the direction of Berkhivka and in the direction of Yagodne. Then let's move quickly to the Belogorovka settlement. There is video confirmation that Russians are still in control of the filtration plant located right in front of Belogorovka. And here I have a video of Russian artillery working on the settlement itself, helping Russians advancing towards it. Then let's quickly touch on the Serebryansky forest and general Liman direction. There's still a lot of back and forth happening in the forest opening and in the direction of Zaporizhzhia. Ukrainian army is not willing to give Russians any initiative here in this front line, and are actively counter-attacking in an attempt to stop Russian progress. Heavy artillery duels are happening all across this front line, with no one coming on top as of right now. With this, I end today's video. I hope it was relatively short and it was to your liking. If it was, please consider supporting it with a like, comment, and a subscription. That motivates me to work harder and improves chances of this video being shown to more people. Also, if you feel extra generous, please consider supporting me on Patreon. It would also help a lot. Thank you, friends. As always, humanity calls me to condemn all violence against human beings. Have a good day, and always remember, Russia will be free and great.